Before there was Final Fight, before there was Double Dragon, there was Kunio-kun. But we're not playing Kunio-kun, we're playing Renegade, which is totally different. Not buying it, huh? Oh well. The original Kunio-kun arcade game first saw release in 1986 and pretty much set the foundation for the side-scrolling beat-em-up, also known as a belt scroller. When the game was brought over to America, they replaced all the high school kids beating the crap out of each other with street thugs and punks beating the crap out of each other. You know, like that Warriors movie everyone liked at the time. But they couldn't call it Warriors, so they called it Renegade. Hey, wait a minute, that actually makes sense. No, wait, no it doesn't. Doesn't matter, nobody's going to get that anyway. So that got popular enough to warrant home ports, including today's subject matter, Renegade for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1988 by Taito and developed by Million. Renegade lets you control Mr. K, a street thug who has to battle through a bunch of other street thugs through 4 stages of beat-em-up action to do, what exactly? In Kunio-kun, you're avenging your best bud who's been bullied by other students and you're just returning the favor. But here, you're just being mugged for 4 stages and... sure, why not? So Renegade has an interesting control scheme in that the B button attacks to your left and the A button attacks to your right. In any context, this means you punch whoever is in front of you and kick whoever is behind you, but pressing both buttons will execute a jump kick, which may very well be your most useful attack in the game if you can land a blow, which can happen quite often if you manage a bit of a rhythm. This might seem awkward for some and takes a bit of getting used to, but to anyone who has dabbled on Double Dragon 2 The Revenge on NES, this should be old hat because it's the exact same control scheme. The difference is that while Double Dragon 2 was made years later and had a benefit of refinement and polish, Renegade has a motorcycle level that, while not great, is at least something different. You try to kick the other guy off the bike while trying not to fall off the edge of the bottom, and it overstays its welcome after a while, but again, it is something different from the usual punch, kick, whatever the case may be. And stage 4, the final level, is also a maze level because those are always fun. You have a variety of moves such as running attacks, ground and pounds, and a shoulder toss. Not always easy to pull off, but they're helpful at times. Each stage also saddles you with a 2-minute time limit, and there are power-ups that will pop up under certain conditions, but entering a new stage will replenish your health anyway, so it's not all that bad. Would have been nice if there were weapons to use against your foes, since there's always one guy that has a stick or something, but we're still early in the game for that. Only a couple lives to get through all 4 stages and no continues, but there are level skip cheat codes if you want to go through all that. Not that it matters in this day and age, since you're more than likely playing this via emulator, either through that Double Dragon Kunio-kun collection that came out a few years back, or that of the evil variety, so it's kind of a moot point. Renegade on NES can feel a bit clunky. The hit detection can be suspect at times, the controls aren't always responsive, which makes pulling off the more advanced moves a bit tricky at times, especially with overly aggressive opponents and especially bosses. And yes, a few months after Renegade's release, Double Dragon would come along and improve on what Renegade laid out considerably, and neither game has 2-player simultaneous play, but Renegade, while rough at times, can be enjoyed somewhat once you get the hang of its quirks, which aren't too bad all things considered. It's a fairly short game, only 4 stages divided into much smaller segments, which I don't mind since it actually provides some varied scenery in a way which helps in making a somewhat repetitive game seem somewhat a bit less so. On that note, Renegade's graphics are fine. The backgrounds are varied but fairly basic in appearance. The characters are simple in design but retain a cartoony charm that doesn't quite seem appropriate in the more rougher image Renegade is trying to portray. Not that I'm really complaining, because when Renegade did eventually get its grid, it lost, well, pretty much everything else, but that's another story. And yes, while it did change the graphics to better fit the American consumer, they kept all the original music. So you got these badass punks and thugs beating the shit out of each other, while very ill-fitting knockoffs of ancient mid-20th century rock music that'd be more fitting at a high school prom is playing in the background. I guess we're only willing to do so much to appease the non-Japanese crowd, apparently. Overall, Renegade is definitely a product of its day. A game that has not aged as gracefully as its successors, direct or otherwise, but at the very least the game is somewhat playable if not frustrating at times with its control and collision issues, and if nothing else establishes a foundation for a genre others would follow and improve upon. With tempered expectations, there is some fun to be had with this NES conversion of Renegade. Which is more than what I could say for our next game, but that's for another time.